My name is Jeff. I'm a compulsive eater. Like all of you, I weigh and measure my food 3 times a day. Turn it over to my sponsor. I don't eat in between meals no matter what. Uh, this week is my 9th month in program. I want to concentrate more on the positives. I've spoken before on all the negatives. I want to try and concentrate on the positives. And little background, I've been in OA in New York in the 80s when it was part of OA, when we had the 4 food plans, and I did it, and I was successful, and I back and forth, but I was also a lot younger than I am, too. 66, I was probably like 23, 24, 5 when I came in. And when you're a lot younger, you look at things a little different, you know. Let's just go. I'll bring it back to. You got to apologize. I was up since 5 o'clock this morning, so I'm a little tired too. But I came into the gray sheet 9 months ago, 437 pounds. I could barely get out of bed. I retired 2 years, almost 3 years ago, and weight gain between that and the pandemic. I just packed on weight. I was still about 360 when I retired. I'll get to that in a minute, but I came into gray sheet miserable. I was below bottom. I could barely get out of bed. And I said, I have to do something. I didn't even know gray sheet existed, because when I used to go to the OA meetings, I used to mention the gray sheet food plan. It was like everyone clammed up. So I don't know if they knew it was around, because every time I did a search, I couldn't find it. Last February, I actually found it online. There was another gray sheet, but it wasn't the same thing that I remembered. Then I found this group, and I said, "This is it." And I sent a few emails out, and some of the guys contacted me back, and I started with on Sunday night beginners meeting. I went to my first meeting on March 7th, and it just felt like I walked into my house. I felt so welcome. I felt it was great. And even my sponsor, there was some behind the scenes work with the sponsor, because I didn't know how to ask for a sponsor. I mean, I knew how to ask, but I was still, I was still a mess. And this one guy said, "Call me tomorrow." And we talked for a couple of days. And I was going to ask him to be my sponsor. But I said to him, I says, "Do you sponsor me by any chance?" He goes, "Yeah, I guess so." And we've been together since. We talk 10 minutes sometimes. We talk an hour sometimes. And now we're going through the big book and the steps. He wanted to help me get out of my food problem first. But like I said, I was about 360, 340 when I retired. That was the weight I thought was normal. I got around, I moved around. I thought I was normal with that. So when I told him I wanted to get down, he goes, "What's your goal?" I said, "I get down to 350, I'll be happy." He says, "Why do you want to just do that? Why don't you go more?" And I couldn't fathom that at the time. So he just, took it as we went. And the first 2 weeks was rough, especially with the veggies. It took me a long time to get used to the idea of vegetables. And we worked that out and came up with some good, something that worked good for me, and stayed abstinent. And I noticed the weight started coming off slowly, 425, 420, but I never got excited before, because I did Weight Watchers, I did FAA, you name it, I did it. And my experience with Weight Watchers, I went in there about 420 pounds, and I lost about 30 pounds. And I started feeling okay, but it was never right. And anyone who's been in Weight Watchers know you get the carryover points. You might as well give a gambler $75 in quarters and sit in front of a slot machine and tell them, "Don't use it." I used those points every chance I had. It didn't help anything. But coming into gray sheet, in 2 weeks, I started getting clarity I didn't think I had. I forgot it. I started doing things in my yard I used to do for that I wasn't able to do for years. Little things. I'm not how to use a chair, but I was able to move around. My pants was best known pair of pants was 58. I was wearing 6X jogging pants after that because I couldn't fit into my jeans anymore. Majority of my clothes were jeans anyway. That's my dress. um, I got down to the 58s. I was like, okay, this looks pretty good. And the food was getting better for me as I went along. I got down to the 56s, and I had it between 54s and 50. That must have been where I was living because I had about 11, 12 pairs of them. So I must have been happy at that place. And then that's when me and my sponsor talked, and we keep going. I'm into my 50s now. I have jeans. I got 48s left in the closet. After that, I have to buy clothes. In the 9 months, I'm amazed at how much weight came off. I'm down 129 pounds. I'm 310 pounds. I never thought I'd see that again. 300 something like that. And I never thought I'd ever see that again, which is giving me encouragement to keep going. The last blood work I had was in 2019. Now, I've been pre-diabetic for quite a few years, and so my doctor felt that was almost normal for me. But this time I ticked up to 5.9, which is one tick below diabetic. Since I haven't been tested in 2 years, I probably went into the diabetic range and not realized it. Because I started getting pains in my legs. I started getting all the signs of it. But I still ate. I had blood work this past July. My cholesterol went down to 181. It was in the 200-something range. And that's not taking any pills or anything. My A1C is down to 5.6, which is just one tick back into normal range. One more, 5.5 will back out of diabetic range. So I'm probably when I go for my blood work in January, I'll find out. I'm able to move around. I'm able to do a lot of things. If anyone heard me speak before, one of my biggest things was my motorcycle. I rode one for the last 45 years. I had to give it up 2 years ago. I couldn't get my leg on it. Even if I did, I didn't have my balance. I couldn't hold it up. I couldn't hold myself up. And I ended up selling it. And that really kind of depressed me because that's something me and my wife enjoyed over the years. And I bought another bike in September. At the end of September, I felt confident enough to get back on it. It was still another month before I was able to ride it, and I started riding it. A little at a time, and I still got a ways to go. But for me, that was like such a great feeling to do that again. A lot of things I'm doing again. Like I said, I used to love landscape. I'm doing a lot of landscaping. I'm doing a lot of yard work again. Simple things you took for granted over the years. It means so much to me now to be able to do it. So much from this program, and this program gave me the opportunity to do that again. It's amazing what we take for granted. Little things. This shirt I'm wearing, it's open, but I couldn't close this. I could not close this shirt. And this is a favorite shirt. Now it's too big to wear. So I kind of missed that whole stage. Following the steps, I kept things basic. I'm now, kind of exploring with this certain foods, certain, seasonings and stuff. But I kept it basic. I do a lot of raw vegetables, especially for my lunch. I think that's helped me. I just think how bad things were, and I never want to get back to that place again. I'm doing this one day at a time, and I don't want to look too far ahead, but this has been a godsend for me, this program. I mean, my family had to tolerate a lot of this stuff for years because I was like this for years. And we talked. I made amends to them, and they understood. They stuck by me. My wife, we're married 43 years, and she put up with a lot of stuff, the weight gain, up and down, up and down. But the positives I got out of this program are just phenomenal. I understand things a lot clearer than I ever did, even when I was in program before. Because I don't think I ever really, back then, I was a good manipulator. I knew how to lie. I knew how to cheat. I had no problem lying to sponsors. I had no problem, well, no one's going to know I ate this, or no one's going to know I ate that. I'll know. But the thing is, you're only hurting yourself. You're not hurting anybody else. Another thing I want to say, too, and I say this a lot, I'm 66, like I said, and a lot of younger people in this program are newcomers, 30s, 40s, 50s. You have a fighting chance when you're younger to recover if you follow these simple steps. When you're in your 60s or 70s, it's so much harder. Your metabolism ain't there. Doesn't want to work with you. Your body fights you. I used to lose weight when I was younger, and it was like I felt great. It's a different kind of feeling now. It feels great, but it's not the same thing. It takes more. If you understand what I'm saying, it takes more to get where you need to be. It's harder on the body. Your body isn't forgiving. It's not forgiving you as much as it did when you were younger. Let me put it that way. But trying to think of some other things. I mean, and when I did one program, another program, it was almost similar to Gray Sheet, but it allowed grains. And I was successful on that. But towards the end, I started eating more grains and more grains and more grains. And I never put the things together until I came back into here. Grains is like ferments in your body. Might as well be alcohol. And that made so much sense to me. Because even the grains, even when I wasn't even eating the crunchy food and stuff like that, the certain grains would have the same effect on me. It started out as a little bit and ended up being a bigger bowl and a bigger bowl and a bigger. I add more stuff into it. I said, this is. And then the weight started coming back on. So finding this program again, and I know people think it's hard, and it can be. It's something that's hard to accept sometimes, but it does work. And if it works for me, I am the most stubborn person I've ever met. But if it worked for me, I know it can work for other people. And I've seen it work for other people. Because a lot of the guys that I work with, they're all big, heavy, heavy hitters, and they're all down. I was just amazing to see that. I'm just amazed to see how it's working with me. I didn't give it I gave it a fair shot, but I didn't really have my heart into it until I got past my 90 days because I didn't think I'd make it that far. And yet I did. But luckily, I do have a good sponsor. He does know how to talk to me. He does know how to work with me. Gets me out of my frustrations. But that's about it as far as the positive. It's done so much for me. And I still have a long way to go. I'm going to try and get down to where I need to be, where I should be. If I can do it, that's fine. I'll do it one day at a time, though. No, I'm not going to worry about it. It's a goal in the back of my head. It's not something I'm striving for. If you follow what I'm saying, I'll worry about that tomorrow, and then the next day, and then the next day. Well, for the next day, I'm going to eat my 3 meals. I already ate my meal, so I'm good. I'm done for the night. And I always had a problem with that. I used to come home from work 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. And I worked nights for 32 years. So my clock has been off forever. It took a long time to get back into some kind of a sync. But I would eat dinner 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I ate and I ate and I ate, and I went to sleep so sick if I did sleep. So it was horrible. So retirement was one thing that kind of got me turned around, but I was still up at night out of habit. And I'm getting a high sign over there. So just in closing, I just want to say how grateful I am for this program, how grateful I am for the Zoom meetings, because without this, I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm in an outpost. There's no chance of a face-to-face meeting here. And I just want to thank you for letting me speak. And with that, I'll pass.